Starting off my list at number 10, I have the Phillies in 2022. Let's start off with the most recent turnaround, and that's the 2022 Phillies. There were a lot of expectations coming into the year after signing Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos in the offseason to join a lineup with Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, and Rhys Hoskins, along with a strong rotation led by Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. However, after starting the year 22 and 29, the Phillies decided they needed a new voice and dismissed Joe Girardi from his managerial duties. They handed over the reins to bench coach Rob Thompson, and simply put, this ended up being the best move they could have made. Under Thompson, the Phillies turned it around, going 65 and 46 the rest of the way to win the third wildcard spot despite a down September. After getting past the favorites and division rival Atlanta Braves and a talented Padres squad to win the pennant, the Phillies did end up losing the World Series in 6 games to the Houston Astros. Despite just falling short, this will be remembered very much as one of the best turnarounds we've ever seen, especially in Phillies history. At number 9, I have the Braves in 2021. Here's another recent one on this list. The Braves in 2021 weren't looking too good at the halfway point of the season. At the All-Star break, they were 44 and 45 and found themselves 4.5 games back in the NL East. They had also suffered a major loss in Ronald Acuna Jr. to an ACL tear, who was having a monster season up to that point. Limping into the trade deadline, the Braves tried to replace Acuna's production with 4 different bats in Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, Adam Duvall, and Eddie Rosario. The Braves went 36 and 19 the rest of the way thanks to a patched up offense led by Austin Riley, Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, Ozzie Albies, and a revitalized Jorge Soler, as well as a pitching staff led by tremendous second halves from Max Fried and Charlie Morton. In the end, the Braves won the NL East with less than 90 wins and marched through the playoffs, beating the Brewers, Dodgers, and the Astros to win their first World Series since 1995. At number 8, I have the Twins in 2006. Out of all the Twins teams I've watched over the years, I really thought this team had a shot at winning it all. They had one of the best pitchers in the game in Johan Santana, rookie Francisco Liriano, who was on a nasty run after being called up and moved to the rotation, and a lineup that featured some great bats like Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, Torrey Hunter, Michael Kadire, and Luis Castillo. They got off to a slow start though, with a record of 22 and 26 and a whopping 12.5 games behind the Tigers in the division on May 27th. After shifting Liriano to the rotation though, things really turned around for the Twins as they went 19 and 7 in June, 18 and 8 in July, and finished the season strong, going 19 and 11 in September and October. Thanks to a 5-game losing streak from the Tigers to end their season, the Twins capitalized and were able to win the Central Division. While the Twins did eventually lose Francisco Liriano to Tommy John surgery, as well as losing to the A's in the first round, this will go down as one of my favorite Twins teams of all time. At number 7, I have the Oakland A's in 2012. The A's have a knack for turning their seasons around, and 2012 was no different. On the 10-year anniversary of the Moneyball A's, Oakland once again found themselves in a hole with a record of 37 and 42 and 13 games back in the AL West, which also featured a 9-game losing streak at one point. While this team did feature guys like Yoenis Cespedes, Josh Reddick, Jared Parker, Tommy Malone, and Bartolo Colon, there wasn't much hope for the A's at this point. However, with a solid pitching staff which ranked 6th on the year in Fangraph WAR, along with big second halves from Cespedes, Coco Crisp, Johnny Gomes, and rookies Josh Donaldson and Chris Carter, the A's slowly but surely clawed their way back, going 19 and 5 in July, 18 and 10 in August, and 20 and 11 in September and October. What this included, though, was a final series with the Texas Rangers, who they swept to win the West on the final day of the season. While they ended up losing in the first round to the Tigers, this team will go down as one of the best underdogs of all time. Have you ever thought, why in the world is my wireless bill so freaking high? Well, let me tell you about Mint Mobile, who I'm partnering with for today's video. You might already know Mint Mobile if you've seen those funny ads from Ryan Reynolds, who is also an owner, but let me quickly tell you how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell directly to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? network. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Switching to Mint Mobile is super easy thanks to their digital eSIM cards. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. If your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free. It only takes about 15 minutes to switch, and Mint has great customer service if you need help. And now, as a special limited time offer, you can get their unlimited plan, which is normally only $30 a month, for just $15 a month. That's a 50% savings off already their super low price. Click the link in the description down below, and if you've already made the switch, let me know how it is in the comments. At number 6, I have the Oakland A's in 2002. Speaking of the A's, let's talk about the Moneyball A's from 2002. Coming off of an offseason in which they lost Jason Giambi, Johnny Damon, and Jason Isringhausen, and replaced them with guys like Scott Hatteberg, Jeremy Giambi, and David Justice, the A's still had a good team with guys like Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez, as well as their big three in the rotation of Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, and Mark Mulder, which the Moneyball movie clearly mentioned in their accurate depiction of the 2002 A's. Yay! The A's did get off to a slow start in 2002, though, with a record of 19-25 on May 21st and 10 games back in the division. Slowly but surely, they chipped away at the deficit, but their historic win streak of 20 wins in a row thrusted them into first place for good. In the second half of the season, they posted a record of 53-21, which was a winning percentage of .716. With big second halves from MVP Miguel Tejada, Jermaine Dye, Mark Ellis, and Scott Hatteberg, as well as solid starting pitching, they went on to win the AL West. They went on to lose to the Twins in the first round of the playoffs, but the Moneyball A's will go down in history as one of the best turnarounds of all time. At number 5, I have the Mariners in 1995. They were 34-35 in the first half and 5 games back in the AL West. On August 1st, they were 43-45 and 12 games back in the division. However, they really picked it up and went 45-31 in the second half of the season. This was in large part due to an offense led by Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Mike Blowers, Tino Martinez, and oh yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. While the starting pitching as a whole wasn't amazing, they got an absolutely dominant second half from Randy Johnson, who went 9-1 with a 2.06 ERA in his last 14 starts. While they got hot, they took advantage of a California Angels team that got off to a great start in 95, but only went 39-37 in the second half, which included a 10-16 record in September. The Mariners went 19-8 in September to come all the way back and win the West Division. It didn't stop there, though, as they went on to face the Yankees in the first round of the playoffs. They ended up winning the series in a decisive Game 5 on a walk-off double from Edgar Martinez that scored a sliding Ken Griffey Jr. all the way from first. They did fall to the Indians in the ALCS, but this run will long live in Mariners history. My, oh my. At number 4, I have the Nationals in 2019, another recent one on this list, and the Nationals were in bad shape in the early going in 2019. With a talented team in tow featuring players like Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto, Trey Turner, and Howie Kendrick in the lineup, and pitchers like Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin, there were a lot of expectations for this team. However, they got off to a very bad 19-31 start and saw themselves 10.5 games back in the division. After a terrible May in which they went 12-17, they turned things around, going 18-8 in June. Thanks to big second halves from Rendon, Soto, Turner, and Kendrick, the Nats went 46-27 in the second half, leading them to a spot in the wild card game, which they went on to win in dramatic fashion against the Brewers. They would go on to beat the Dodgers in a thrilling 5-game series in the first round of the playoffs, sweep the Cardinals in the NLCS, and be a historically good Houston Astros team in 7 games to win the World Series. At number 3, I have the Marlins in 2003. Heading into 2003, the Marlins were 6 years removed from their first ever World Series championship in 1997 and had a lot of talent both in the offense and on the pitching staff. No one was really sure what the Marlins would be, though, after going 79-83 in 2002. The Marlins saw themselves with a record of 19-29 on May 22nd and 11.5 games back in the wild card race. During this time, they made a switch at the manager position as they dismissed Jeff Jeff Torborg, along with pitching coach Brad Arnsberg, due to a multitude of reasons, including how the young pitchers were being handled, leading to injuries. The reins were handed over to veteran manager Jack McKeon, and under McKeon, the Marlins got back on track, getting their record to 49-46 and 4.5 games back of the wild card race by the end of the first half of the season. The offense began to click thanks to guys like Derek Lee, Luis Castillo, Juan Pierre, Ivan Rodriguez, Mike Lowell, and a rookie named Miguel Cabrera. The pitching staff performed well in both the rotation and the bullpen, as both the starting pitching and relief pitching ranked 7th in Fangraph WAR, thanks to guys like Josh Beckett, Mark Redmond, Carl Pavano, and Brad Penny, who helped pick up an up-and-down Dontrelle Willis in the second half. In the bullpen, Ugueth Urbina and Chad Fox locked it down, and they went on to win the wild card, beat the Giants in the first round, the Cubs in an all-time 7-game series classic in the NLCS, and slaying the highly favored Yankees in 6 games to win the World Series. At number 2, I have the Cardinals in 2011. As a Red Sox fan, I like to not think about 2011, but if you're a Cardinals fan, this year will have a place in your heart for the rest of your life. The 2011 Cardinals got off to a good start, going 33-23 through May. Once June came around, though, we saw a different team as they stumbled to a 39-41 record over June, July, and August. A lot of this was due to missing Adam Wainwright in 2011, injuries to multiple players including Albert Pujols and David Freese, a down season from Colby Rasmus, who was eventually traded, a lack of stability in the bullpen, and poor defense. At the trade deadline, the Cardinals made a couple of headline trades, including the previously mentioned Colby Rasmus, while receiving a package back that included Edwin Jackson, as well as trading for Rafael Furcal from the Dodgers. They also brought in Arthur Rhodes to help with a thin bullpen. With these moves and the return of Pujols and Freese, the Cardinals got back on track, and September was much nicer to them as they went 18-8 over their last 26 games. Luckily for them, though, they were helped out by an all-time collapse from the Atlanta Braves, who went 9-18 over the final month, losing an 8.5 game lead and losing the wild card in game 162. Please do not remind me of this. The Cardinals went on to beat the highly favored Phillies in the first round in 5 games and beat the division rival Brewers in the NLCS to advance to the World Series. They ended up beating the Rangers in one of the best World Series of all time that had them down to their last strike on 2 separate occasions, but David Freese came up with a game-tying triple in the 9th and a walk-off homer in the 11th to win Game 6, and the Cardinals went on to win Game 7 to win the World Series. And at number 1, I have the Yankees in 1978. As a Red Sox fan, I am very glad I was not alive in 1978. On July 19th, 1978, the Yankees were behind the Red Sox in the AL East by 14 games with a record of 48-42. From that point on, though, the Yankees went absolutely ballistic, going 11-4 the rest of the month of July, 19-8 in August, and 23-9 in September and October, which is a combined record of 53-21. This was thanks to big second halves from Reggie Jackson, Greg Nettles, Lou Piniella, and Willie Randolph. The Red Sox, on the other hand, who got off to a great start in the first half with a record of 57-26, ended up only going 42-38 in the second half, which led to the Yankees miraculously tying them for the division, resulting in a 1-game playoff. This led to one of the most historic 1-game playoffs of all time and one of the biggest moments of all time, with Bucky bleeping Dent hitting a go-ahead 3-run homer in the top of the 7th, leading the Yankees to win the division. They would go on to cruise in the playoffs and beat the Dodgers to win the World Series, resulting in tears rolling down my face in my prior life. So that's my list. Tell me what you think down below. Should there be some other teams on this list? Let me know down below in the comments. If you can, on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.